Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Guys, listen, this story hit yesterday evening, and more details have come out. Now, this story is out of Chicago. Shout out to Chi, you know what I'm saying, Chi-Town. And it's messed up. Now, before I jump in this story, I mean, this just broke. The story just broke. The new details just broke, which what I was waiting for. A lot of people have asked me, and I think I mentioned it in my last live stream, how come I haven't made any videos about the situation between Israel and the conflict that they're having over there in the Middle East? That's plain and simple. Number one, it's a political issue, right? I try not to talk about that stuff on my channel. Another thing is, there's a lot of mixed opinions of why it is, what's going on, and the outcome, you know, that's being presented right now of what can happen. Under no circumstances do I condone any of that type of stuff. But I mean, it's two different factions, two different philosophies, bumping heads. Sometimes stuff like this is the outcome. But all I know is a lot of people are suffering over there on both sides. Families and lost people. Babies have died. Cities are in ruins. It's just, you know, I'm not the right person to speak out and really stick up for that, if you know what I'm talking about. I mean, honestly. But this right here pertains to that, and I will say something about this because this is a sickening display to humanity, period. This happened, like I said, in Chicago yesterday. Now, across the Middle East, supposedly, I heard this Friday they were talking about a worldwide thing where, you know, a day of hate or whatever it's called, I mean, don't misquote me. Where, like, you know, they're telling people to take action against certain people. I'm not feeling that. I'm not. But evidently, somebody over here felt as though they were weak-minded enough to fall for that BS. You see this little boy up here? This little boy is Muslim. I wouldn't know that by looking at him. Can't tell a person's religion by looking at them a lot of times. And I mean, I don't think people run around here and do that anyway. But this little boy is dead. He was stabbed to death. His mother was almost killed by this man right here. He was the landlord of said property that they were renting. He lived in the same house as them, but in a different level. And this little boy is dead. And he died in the most heinous way. 8 years old, a year older than my daughter. They're charging this as a hate crime. I'm going to play this video, let you see it. And I really want you to pay attention to this. How weak-minded and people are so easily triggered for agendas that really have nothing to do with them. And this is the outcome. Under no circumstances, do you hear me? Do I support any of this type of stuff where you take your rage out and political views on children and women? I'm just saying. Check out the video. We'll come back and really get on it.
Developing and disturbing story in the southwest suburbs. A Plainfield Township landlord is now accused of killing a 6-year-old boy and stabbing the boy's mother because of their nationality. CBS 2's Sharday Gray is live in the newsroom with the details on this one. Sharday, good evening.
Good evening, Chris. 71-year-old Joseph Zuba faces several charges, including 2 hate crime counts. Will County Sheriff's Office says the 2 victims were targeted because they're Muslim and the ongoing Middle Eastern conflict involving Hamas and the Israelis.
That's just awful. It's sickening. I can't even imagine anybody to do that to a little child.
A quiet neighborhood in Plainfield has now been rocked by a horrific act. The victim told detectives her landlord attacked her with a knife as she ran to the bathroom to call 911. Will County Sheriff's Office says 71-year-old Joseph Zuba stabbed 6-year-old Wadia Alfayumi 26 times. His 32-year-old mother had more than a dozen stab wounds. Council on American Islamic Relations says the boy just celebrated his birthday a couple of weeks ago.
He was a lovely boy who loved his family, his friends. He loved soccer, he loved basketball, and he paid the price for the atmosphere of hate.
Neighbors like Eva Kay saw the crime scene Saturday night. The gruesome details behind the stabbing left her in awe.
I don't care what the situation was. You don't take it out on somebody that innocent of life.
Neighbors who live near Zuba says the mother and son moved into the home 4 years ago. Neighbors say they kept to themselves. As for Zuba, neighbors called him eccentric and concerned at times about signs in front of the house. Some were political and religious.
You know, I see the man that lived there outside gardening all the time, every week. Every time I come home, you know, he's outside.
CARE says they just issued a release a few days ago warning about creating anti-Muslim atmospheres where someone could get hurt.
He has no clue about these larger issues happening in the world, but he was made to pay for it.
Family members say although the father was at the press conference, he was too in shock to speak. CARE says they're disgusted not only by this horrible act, but by exaggeration of Jihad Day. They believe if there was no anti-Muslim narrative, this wouldn't have happened. Reporting in the newsroom.
So I want to read a small article to you with some details about what happened in this case. Now, this article right here reads as follows. This 8-year-old Palestinian boy stabbed to death in Chicago in what is considered by police a hate crime. And it reads as follows. A child was killed and a woman was badly injured after a stabbing over a dozen times in the Plainfield Township of Chicago just after 11:30 a.m. According to Will County Sheriff's Office, authorities were called on reports that a woman was being attacked by her landlord with a knife. Authorities say the woman told police she ran into the bathroom while fighting off her attacker and dialed 911. After arriving at the scene, police found a man sitting near the driveway with a laceration on his forehead. Deputies then found a 32-year-old woman, Hanan Shaheen, and her son, Wadia Al-Fayim, with over a dozen stab wounds to the chest, torso, and upper extremities. The boy was taken to the hospital in critical condition and later succumbed to his injuries. The suspect was also taken to the hospital and was being treated for injuries, after which he was taken in by questioning of detectives. Authorities declared that the weapon used in the stabbings had been recovered and an investigation was underway, but they claimed that the motive remains unclear and police say no criminal charges have been filed yet. Meanwhile, the civil society and human rights organizations called Saturday for protective measures to combat racism against Palestinians and discrimination against their online content, highlighted the interconnection between the digital world and the real world. And it says right here, it is worth noting that the family says that the child was 6 years old. It's revealed that the mother and her child lived on the ground floor of the house for 2 years and had no previous issues with the landlord, who was identified as 71-year-old Joseph Zuba. Shared with CARE Chicago, the text messages Lily sent to the child's father of the boy by the mother from the hospital showed that the landlord, who was angry with what he was seeing on the news, knocked on their door, and when the mother opened it, he attempted to choke her and attacked her with a knife, yelling, "You Muslims must die." After running into the bedroom to call 911, she came out and found her son stabbed to death. It all happened in seconds, she texted. Ahmad Rehab Care Chicago executive director said, "Our hearts are heavy and our prayers are with the darling boy and his mother." He also added, "As we await the official investigation of the local authorities, we can confirm at this moment that we have a murdered child in his own home, a 6-year-old who had just celebrated his birthday a couple of weeks ago, and his mother lying in the hospital in serious condition, both stabbed over a dozen times. And we have testimony from the mother as to the harrowing moments that unfolded in terms of what was done and said. It is our worst nightmare. We have full confidence in authorities to investigate this heinous incident as a hate crime and to do so swiftly. All right, guys, that's the news article, but I want to talk about a couple of things to you guys. The first thing is this. Some people will say this guy is crazy. I don't think he is. I think he's scared. And in no way, shape, or form, I defend in his action. But there are a lot of older people out there that are like him. Remember the guy that shot the black kid that knocked on his door looking for his brother? I think his name was Ralph Yarl. He shot him and he's locked up right now. It's the same type of dynamic, and I'm going to tell you why. There are a lot of people, especially a lot of older people nowadays, that stay in the house or they're reclusive. Don't really leave the house much unless they got to go get the basic necessities they need. They feel safer in their home. And all they do is watch the news. And they get their full generalization of the world from what they see coming through TV and other sources. And people do what they do, but this is a dangerous thing. At a younger age, I realized this. A lot of the philosophies my grandfather had, shout out John Wise, you know what I'm saying, was like this for a while. You watch the news, all you see is people doing crazy stuff. You start to generalize who the people that are around you are, what they're up to. Are they after you? Or if they're good people or not. A couple of weeks ago, someone was talking to me and they asked me, do I doubt racism exists? Because they watch my channel and some of the stuff I say, they question. Let me explain this to you guys. Racism will always exist in America because we have a lot of different nationalities, a lot of different cultures. The media paints a certain narrative, the way the world works, certain cities, states, and towns, when they're reporting the news. People will always have indifference. We're human beings. We will bicker. We will always have something like that. Your job is to decipher through the BS on your journey on this planet to move forward in a positive way and protect you and yours by being an example. That's how I look at it. I might be wrong, but it's worked for me so far. Now let me jump back on this. This guy dealing with the conflict that's going on and stuff, sees it on TV and all this stuff. They called for a jihad day. That's what they did, a jihad day over the weekend. Evidently, he fell for the BS. Them people lived in that house for 4 years, y'all. 4 years. He interacted with them. Maybe in a minute way, but he was the landlord. They were paying him. They were doing what they were doing, wasn't causing no problems. They were Palestinian. This war and this not the war, but this conflict has been going on for as long as I can remember. Just like the guy said, the attorney, if this didn't happen this week, this probably would have never happened. And I believe so. People get triggered for the simplest things. Listen, you cannot let something upset your mental biorhythm to where you lose your sanity and do something rational because somebody on TV or somebody, you know, some kind of conflict triggers something in you out of fear for you to do something. This guy is dumb, 71 years old. I don't know if he's off his rock or whatever, but what he did was stupid. And it's sad. It's sad. He's getting charged with a hate crime because that was some hateful stuff he did. Think about it. Little boy just had a birthday 2 weeks ago. So I mean, 2 weeks ago, he was the same age as my daughter, 7 years old. That little boy meant a lot to his family. The woman meant a lot to his son, to the son, and the husband. That's the thing. He attacked when the husband wasn't there. That's another thing that sounds a little funny to me. But the weight of the world is not on a child. He doesn't know anything about any of that. He doesn't. And for you to do that to him, they said he stabbed this boy 26 times. I don't know if you ever seen somebody get stabbed. I had the unfortunate opportunity to see that multiple times when I was incarcerated. It is not a fun thing. It is not an easy thing to look at. It's not. When you stab somebody, people think you stab somebody one time, they like on TV, and they fall over. It's not like that. It's a struggle. It's a fight for life. That little boy, even though that man's 71 years old, he's still an adult. He still has adult strength. That little boy had no chance at all in that fight. Neither did the woman. Story goes, open the door. He busts in, all you Muslims must die. Tried to choke her. She got his hands off, pulled the knife, stabbed her. Alternative action. Stabbed her up. She ran for her life, ran in the bathroom to call the police. Turned the knife on the baby right there. I'm not feeling that. Not feeling it at all. I don't understand the struggles that's going on over there in Israel and Palestine. I'm not vested in that, culturally or anything. I don't know. But I do know people are suffering over there. And that should in no way, shape, or form be brought over here as far as indifference. I don't even know if this guy, what this guy's nationality is. I don't know. But I do know this, for 4 years they was paying you, sir, and doing, what they were supposed to do. You were interacting with them in some way, shape, or fashion. And now all of a sudden to turn a blade on them, unacceptable. This man's 71 years old. He got 1.5 feet in the grave, and he decided to go and do some warfare stuff and go in there and hack and slash on people. A woman and a child. Not feeling it. Not feeling it. He'd be looking at flowers right now. Just for that. Stop being triggered. Regardless of what you see on TV, find out what's going on. Like I was going to do this story last night, and it had been said a different way. Hey man, it's sad that this happened to the child. I wonder what happened. But stuff like this, you got to get answers of why this happened. And this is one of the stupidest reasons I've ever seen to hurt somebody. I'm totally against all that. All of that stuff in the 50s and 60s in the South and stuff like that, where, people of color they put dogs on them, wet them up with water hoses, knocked women down in the street, hung children. Listen, it's just the history of America. I don't forget that. But I don't have hate for that neither, or get triggered when I see it. It's a part of my history. And that's one of the things people need to understand. It's a part of our history. American history is Black history. Some people ain't going to disagree with that, but it is what it is. This is all I've ever known. I would defend this country with my life. Why? Because my life is here in this country. I don't understand this. I don't. I could never understand why someone's religion, what they believe in to keep them sane, how is that a threat to you? Or the color of their skin, how they talk, or how they look. This is a big mess that has to be cleaned up. And the one that made it is sitting in jail looking stupid. And it seems like every time these guys do crazy stuff like that, they go sit outside or go sit somewhere. And it's like they was possessed, and then they come back to reality. What have I done? And look dumb. Look at his face. Look at it. He looks, yep. All in all, this is a sad day. Somebody in another country give you a command to do something over here, and you do it not even knowing anything. All right. I'm Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Man, this is some sickening behavior. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.